podcast and take this walk with me.
Welcome back to the Three Parallels podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch, where we rediscover who we were, we embrace who we are, and we make room for who we're trying to become. On today's show, y'all know it's season 3, so I got something for you. And for the first time on this podcast, I have a panel of experts, I would say. And these experts happen to be black. Let's go, baby. These experts. One happens to be my mentor, the one and only Dr. Linwood Vereen. The other two was introduced to me by Dr. Vereen, and they are also alumni of the show. So you already know you are in for a great time. We have Dr. Vincent Sears and Dr. Sharon Beatty that's here to talk about Homeplace. And Homeplace is near and dear to all of us, and to me as well. I'll share it later. But we're going to talk about it in a way that's never been discussed because we've never had the opportunity until now. So sit back, relax, grab you a friend, grab you a colleague, grab you a notebook, because we finna go somewhere. And in order to go where we're going, you have to be present. So this episode will only require your time and your attention. Starting off, Dr. Vereen, could you let us know, what is this Homeplace? What is this concept? What is this idea? What is this about?
We have great bell hooks to thank for this idea. Plain and simple. I don't oftentimes read things, but I need to read this, and I think this will set a tone of where we're going.
Okay.
The idea of home place. When people no longer have the space to construct home place, we cannot build meaningful community of resistance. So Hooks writes about that in 1990. And one of the things that we'll get an opportunity to explore today is what that means, what forms of resistance we take. And when I think of that, I think of Latoya Hill Haskins. She and a group of her colleagues wrote a piece. And one of the things they talked about with Homeplace is when you have that for yourself, then over time, and I'm poorly paraphrasing, so please forgive me in advance, Dr. Haskins. When you have that, then we as individuals, and then as a community and a collective, become the resistance. So in essence, how I take that a little further forward is we can have an opportunity to become or be a part of the creation of a place and space where other folks who are in need of that can come to. And we do that in a variety of ways. We do that through just time. We view that through relationship, because for me, a big part of Homeplace is that relationship. And central to those in all relationships are those differing variables that go into it. So for some of us, as Dr. Sears is going to point out in a little bit, that comes sonically. You know, we were sharing earlier, if you come into my house and we're in the kitchen, and the music's not on, that means the electricity got cut off somehow. And that's a place to connect. And then as Dr. B may have an opportunity to share, when we find, like, it's identifying what those things are, like what our needs are, and then finding the places and spaces where that can emerge and evolve. So I mentioned Dr. Hill Haskins. She and a group of her colleagues did a piece where they were talking about how writing groups provided that for a group of women through a writing retreat and a number of other things. And they introduced some really interesting constructs and concepts in that. Isaac Burt, who's at Johns Hopkins, really dope young brother, wrote a piece recently, came out just this past August, where he talked about how we do that with young men. You know, how we create a space, whether it's a community environment or a school environment. And there are a number of other articles that are coming out that really speak to that. Now.
All right. So let me make sure I'm understanding, because I want to make sure the listeners are paying attention to where we are and where we're about to go. And I see you rocking a Homeplace
rocking my Homeplace shirt.
Rocking the shirt. And there's so many stories around Homeplace, but what I'm hearing is building or creating community for us. And when you say us, I would love to hear more. What do you mean by us, and what does it mean to create this community? You mentioned writing group. So if we could just dive into, what does this look like? What does this mean?
I will, and then I will turn it over to my esteemed colleagues to do what they do.
All right.
So For myself, the experience, it's 2016. I had a really dear friend who sent me an email, probably had a phone call follow up by that because I preferred a phone call. And he asked if we would be willing to go down to Williamsburg, Virginia for a writing retreat. And it was no strings attached. This is what you had to pay for your stay. We, pay for your own food. Two rules. Now, first of all, the colleague was Michael Hannon, who's at Montclair State. Michael had two rules for us, and those rules persisted for the 9 straight years he hosted that retreat. And it was, we are going to fellowship, and we were going to be in community. The important part for me about that was that came before the work. Before we started writing manuscripts, before we started revising our course syllabi, before we started, it was, we are going to spend time and build community. And then one of the things we noticed over time is that, and I'll speak for myself, I damn near could not live without that experience. The first full week of January for 9 years, I looked forward to that because I got to be around this group of men, and it evolved. And I have the privilege of calling a group of people my dear friends who I met there, some who I met when they were doctoral students, and some who were, junior faculty. And these are folks who I would say I'm the older of that group chronologically, not necessarily developmentally. But these are a group of men who are also, yourself included, because you're part of the fam, part of the Homeplace team, who are my mentors. And so you started the show by saying, oh, this is one of my mentors. I speak so often about how you are that for me in so many ways. And what people don't recognize is you are so many years my junior in the profession and chronologically, yet developmentally, you have so much to bring to me. And like whenever I'm with you, whether it's on the phone or in this place, I know I'm home.
That's good stuff.
I know I'm home.
That's good stuff. And I receive my flowers. I have no problem accepting my roses. So thanks for explaining. And I would love to hear from Dr. Sears and Dr. Beatty, your perspective. And to me, I look at this as a lineage. I look at this as legacy. And I would love to hear your perspective on this ideology around Homeplace.
And then also connecting it to your work.
Yeah. Okay, I will start. I'll start. Homeplace to me, for example, when I began to read this article, and I remember I saw Dr. Vereen's name on it, and now Dr. Branch, it really ignited some passion in me, specifically about when I was working with on my dissertation about Black male counselors and about self-care and also about social justice. And when I started reading about Homeplace and I started looking at what Homeplace really was, and to me, my big picture of Homeplace was a space where specifically Black male counselors and counselor educators could go and just be free and be vulnerable to be who they were and to have conversations that they normally would not be feeling safe to have those conversations. And to be honest with you, that has never been something that I have seen Black males do because of one thing. A lot of them that I talked to, even in my dissertation, my participants, they were afraid to have those type of conversations in a group of males because of it could be, I guess, looked at as a weakness or, we don't talk about these things because we're masculine and we're gonna, we don't deal in these type of emotions. But when I think about the emotions that people are bringing out, especially Black men now, Black males, especially counselors, you're dealing with so many other issues, not just when you're working with clients, but also your own inner issues. And so to me, Homeplace was a place of refuge that when I looked at it and I read the article, it was a place of refuge that was not normally given to Black males. So to me, it was refreshing. It was new, but it was also giving information to new Black male counselors and educators as to this is what I need to do to be safe. This is who I need to be, where I need to be. And what you said, Dr. Vereen, you said two things that Michael wanted: fellowship and what was it, fellowship? And I think you said socialization or something like
Community.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, socialization, community.
socialization and fellowship, which is something that is rare. So I think that's what made home place so successful in your retreat, in your writing retreat.
Hmm.
Love it.
I agree. And when I think about that, I think about when we decided we wanted to write about it
Mm-hmm.
and reading the drafts and reading what peers had written about
Mm-hmm.
how they evolved and like their initial fears of like, when I walk into this room, am I going to be admired for who I am,
Mm-hmm.
seen as I am? Uh, and then reading how for some it evolved to I'm loved for who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I can be, we talk about being unapologetically yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
reading that from these people who I've grown to know and love. And the group of us, when you go back to that article, Matt Bonner led us through that one.
Mm-hmm.
We have cisgendered, we have heterosexual men, we have men who identify as queer and gay.
Mm-hmm.
And when we come around each other, we don't do that thing where you put one hand and then you wrap the other one around and hug. We give full hugs. And when we say, I love you,
Mm-hmm.
it's I love you in every sense of that construct.
I love it.
So, and
Dr.
so
Sears.
hearing how that impacted you.
Yeah, I love that too. And so for me, when I take a look at this and break it down, I think as Black men, we're coded from a young age, not just to survive, but to suppress,
Come on now.
to lead with ego before heart. And so for me, we perform in strength, even when we're unraveling. But in the moments that you close yourself off, nothing happens. Growth is impossible. So I've seen self-imposed silence corrode everything. And from relationships to purpose to joy. So for me, when ego leads, intimacy leaves. Real strength is in the break for me. And so in that break, that's where music comes to life. And so in my dissertation, what we've talked about, or what I decided to write about, is how music and the journey of the Black male PhD is more than academic. It's ancestral, it's cultural, and it's critical. So I introduced the idea of sonic counterspace, soundscapes where Black men don't just survive academically. We speak, we create, we heal. And so that really goes to Homeplace for me when we talk about how music speaks truth when words fail us. And it amplifies authenticity. So music is transformative, and it allows us to be in a space physically, but also be grounded in that space, knowing that we're not alone. And so for me, I enjoyed writing about this and trying to push the profession forward, holding a mirror up to the profession, because I think a lot of Black males, Black females in this profession are misheard, mislabeled, and misunderstood.
Absolutely.
So
This is beautiful. And to the listeners, to the audience, I hope you all are paying attention to what's being said and what's underneath the surface, which is the basement. And we're going to dive into that because it sounds like this opportunity that's been created to help us, meaning Black folks, Black men, Black women, Black people specifically, especially in this arena, it's creating a space to be, just be. And sounds like a healing space as well. So I'm curious to learn more about this healing and this ability to just be, because many of us, and I'm sure you all connect to this, we're working and navigating in spaces where we're not the majority. So how do we connect these dots of being in these places and spaces where this is the norm and creating a place and space which is the new norm, where I can just be me? So I would love to hear more about your perspective on how we show up in these places and spaces, and then the places that we create where we can just be us. Tell us more.
Me, going back to music, we have to be the metronome or even the tuning fork.
Mm.
We have to set the tone. Because I think for too long, we've been, I can speak for myself, elusive and unreadable. So I get the illusion of control, when in reality, I feel a lot inside out of being out of control. And healing begins when we surrender, right? We surrender to peace over performance, and we stop wearing trauma like an armor and start treating it like a wound. So for me, being elusive gave me the illusion of permanence, but it cost me presence. And so being present in the moments that I need to be with fellowship and community, I think is important. And understanding that community looks different for us, but it also looks the same. So it's not just about the individual, it's about how do we connect on multi different levels. And for us, a lot of it is spiritual, and music. Yeah. Athletically for sure as well. So these are the things that I take out of Homeplace and creating these spaces and creating the new norms, which you speak about.
Let me take that a little step further. So you talked about ways that we connect spiritually and then sonically. Those things, athletically, I'm sorry. You said athletically. We are, by history and by nature, because y'all have spoke to this, we are storytellers. And a part of creating this, what we're going to label as a new norm, it's not a new norm. It's getting back to the roots, baby. Back to the roots. And it's making those roots more visible. You ever see a tree where sometimes you can see the roots poking up out of the ground? We got to get back to those. Back to those roots of, this is who we have always been. But Dr. Sears, as you had pointed out, we've been socialized to suppress those things. We've been socialized to, we can't walk into a room, head held high, shoulders back, acting and behaving as if we know some things. Even though we know full well, we don't know everything. But we know some things. We are capable of a great many things. And so for me, it's when I'm in the kitchen cooking with my children and we got the music going, that's where I get to know who they are and who they're evolving to be. Because we talk about things, and as they're free in that room. As long as they chopping and cutting and being a part of the team. And what I'm hoping to socialize them into without giving them a lecture. When people come into your house, always be willing to fix them a plate, because that's who we are and that's who we're about.
I like that.
Share with them who you are. And so oftentimes it's musically. I sent my 14-year-old daughter a song on Spotify. We talked about it this past weekend. And I was like, I played a little snippet for her, and I told her, I had sent this song to you two older sisters, and they hadn't responded yet. And then she listened to it. She gave me a little thumbs up, but then it became a conversation. And like, those are the things when we talk about like your work, Vince, that sonic, where it creates dialogue and it creates connection. And it also begins to further enhance our idea of the fluidity of who we are, the fluidity of Homeplace, because it takes different shapes, forms, places, and spaces.
Right.
You know, we're just coming off that Thanksgiving holiday, and I missed, unfortunately, an opportunity for a part of my Homeplace. I didn't get a chance to go visit my Southern relatives, and they embody that for me. My aunt and uncle, when we go visit them for Thanksgiving, we have dinner out in the backyard, and when you go out to eat, they got a corner in their little shed where they got a bunch of to-go boxes. And what it is they're loving me through the whole experience. From the time I walk in that front door to the time I walk out that front door, I'm home. And I get to Columbia, South Carolina infrequently.
Mhm.
But every time I walk into that house, I'm home.
But isn't that a form of self-care? There's so
It-
many, when you connect all these, right? And you're bringing it in, you're talking about, like, like I explained before, there's so many parts of self-care. And self-care means so many different things for so many different people. So when I hear your story, your self-care is that connection with family, right? That emotional self-care with your family. The physical self-care is walking into the door and this is, I'm home. They see me, they hear me, they validate me, right?
Mhm.
So when you connect that with self-care, along with, like, we were talking about my dissertation was talking about self-care, and it talked about for Black male counselors. And so now when you think about that with the music, that's a part of self-care. That's a
Mhm.
part of who you are, right? Your cultural identity, right? Who you are socially, it's how you connect. And when I think about it, and I think about Homeplace, and I think about when I talked with you, Dr. Vereen, and we talked about what Homeplace meant to you when we were even talking about the article, it's so many different connections to everyone in this room or everyone that's here because it speaks to so many of us. It doesn't just
Mhm.
speak to just your emotional, spiritual, it speaks to all of you. You know what I mean? Your internal, your cultural identity. It speaks to all of that. And I don't know why the song keeps popping up in my head, but
Come on.
Marvin Gaye, what's going on? It just keeps popping up in my head about, who we are, like what's going on? Why are we, suffering through so much? And so it just keeps popping up to say there's a story behind it. There's a story
Yes.
behind what we're talking about. And self-care means different things for different people, right?
Yes.
So self-care for you maybe look different than self-care for me, right?
Yeah.
When we
Yeah.
walk down the
Yeah.
street, my self-care may be, it's not all about going to get your nails and that kind of thing. My self-care may be, I want to feel like I'm able to walk down that street and be looked upon as an equal. Where other people might walk down that street and feel like, like yourself, I want to be viewed as valued. You know what I mean? So when I look at home place and home space or home, just safety in general, I look at home place in that way. And a counselor asked me a couple of days ago, and it was a Black male, and we were talking about this. And he says, I want to ask you a question. He said, with everything that's clouding me right now, that's the noise in my head. He said, what do I do to get rid of it? Where do I go to get rid of it? And I
Oof.
thought about home place, and I thought about you have to find your safe space. What do you do that's safe for you? And I even, bounced this off of Dr. Sears, and we were talking about it. And he said the exact same thing that I said. It's about what you find that's home space for you or home place for you. You got to figure that out and create that space for yourself. So I find this to be I'm just passionate about what you're talking about because this is what is needed in our community, not just for the Black males, but for the Black females as well.
Yes,
But
Ooh-wee.
indeed.
specifically
That's why
today,
it was
we're talking
important
about
to
males.
Ooh-wee.
that's why it was important to highlight Dr. Hill Haskins' work because that is front and
Absolutely.
center women, and it also has a womanist focus in the
Mhm.
theoretical lens. And so it is
Absolutely.
important to note that it's not just for Black men. It is for
Mhm.
folks of color.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
Absolutely.
is for folks who look like you and me,
Mhm.
who, and when we pass each other, acknowledge each other, uh,
Mhm.
when, and as I'm listening to you,
Mhm.
I'm thinking of a couple of things. Like I think of the fluidity of that. So when you were talking about it's different things for different people, there's a fluidity to that.
Mhm.
And when you were talking, sharing how this person had come up and asked you, like, so how do I? And as I was hearing you, I was reminded of Dr. David Ford, who everybody knows. He talks about, you got to find your tribe.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And the other thing that was really sticking with me as I was listening to the last couple of things you said, good Dr. Sears, and then you as well, is hold on, I got to hold on to this thought. It's the idea of
Mhm.
it is incumbent upon us and important to us to acknowledge who we are and then find ways to sit in that because as many of us move through the world in
Mhm.
white communities, whether that's higher ed, schools,
Mhm.
anything, when we walk in, this goes back to what you were saying, Dr. Sears, of this idea of suppression, like feeling like I have to suppress who I am.
Mhm.
And how is it we create a different paradigm?
Mhm.
an
Yeah.
evolved paradigm, starting with our roots, where we then feel like I don't have to
Right. I think,
change who I am, the way I talk, how I talk. I speak in English
yeah.
and I do it very well. Unfortunately, I have had
Mhm.
many people say to me, "Oh, you're so articulate." And to me, that is offensive.
Very much
Yes.
so. Very
Oh,
much.
Very much.
so that's the first thing you noticed about me is that I speak well?
Mm.
Well, you can thank Will and May for that.
Yeah.
And moving on. So
Yeah.
Dr.
there's
Sears,
these unique.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dr. French.
Dr. Sears, jump in there. You ready? Let's get
All
it.
right. All right. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm harkening back to what Dr. Linwood
Mhm.
said earlier
Mhm.
about being home for
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, making the plate. I think legacy is built, not built in public, but built
Mhm.
in how you care for yourself in private.
Mhm.
And so if you can do that, then you can pour into other people as well. And so in
Mhm.
our community, I think a lot of the times we don't get poured into and we're not able to pour out. Otherwise, I mean, we're functioning at a level that is very, very low. But doing it at a high rate. So for me, I think music has its way of healing. Um,
Mhm.
its
Mhm.
way of communicating when we can't communicate. And
Mhm.
so one of the things that I have been able to implement at the university that I'm at, Henderson State, is for my classes, I need you to not only be reflective and critical in your thought, but also when you have a moment when we're doing this write-up, please provide me a song that you feel right now that is stirring some emotion within you. And so that's been part of how I've implemented that into our class structure. And the feedback that I've been getting from that is that it has been healing, it's been telling, and then curating that playlist for the class at the end of the week has been able to open up other people and other avenues for them to connect in a way that feels like community instead of just individuals in the classroom.
Mm.
Powerful.
Mhm.
Powerful.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So, what I'm hearing, and this is specifically for the audience members who this may be the first time you've heard some of these things, where you have four black people who are in academia as counselors, counselor educators, clinicians, everything else in between. What I'm hearing is the decolonization of our profession. That's what I hear. So I'm curious to learn like this energy, this passion, this confidence of decolonizing, meaning it's okay for me to be me in these white spaces. Where does that come from? And where does this courage come from of it's okay to be who I am? And I'm no longer going to bring myself down or lower myself or filter myself for anybody else. And what I call that is black privilege. So, how can someone develop this ideology of black privilege to be okay with being themselves in these spaces where they may be the only one?
Mhm.
Mm,
Mhm. Mhm.
that's a beautiful question.
Mhm.
Why, thank you.
I'm a thief. That's what prepares me. And I'll
Mhm.
clarify. When I come into contact with people like Jason Branch, Dr.
Mhm.
Vincent Sears, Dr. Sharon Beatty, I'm in between my mouth running off crazily. When you're talking, I'm listening to you for things that I can take away and then decide how that influences me, how that impacts me, and how I can take that into my own life. And so, what I'm doing is this is what I'm a thief of. And with Vincent, when you were talking about pouring in and pouring out, I was laughing because I don't think I've had a moment with Dr. Branch where he ain't talking about pouring in and those things. I'm a thief in that I'm taking this knowledge, this love, this these things that you're sharing with me and figuring out how to integrate them into my own life. And that's what provides me the strength, the uh, to be vulnerable in places where I wouldn't have 20 years ago, to be more vocal in places where I wasn't 25 years ago, to be completely honest with myself when I walk, and that's still a work in progress. When I walk into a room, I take all of you with me. I literally and figuratively take all of you with me. And it's in ways that you may know because maybe you've seen me work, and ways that you do not know because you don't watch me every day. And so what you don't know is I've walked into class and as I'm saying to a group, hey, we're going to create a class playlist. I go back to Dr. Vincent Sears formalizing something that I had been playing around with, but I hadn't gone to the depth that you had.
Mm.
On my phone, if you look at my Spotify, I can show you years of classes where I have the class name and I had each student like help create this playlist. And those used to also become playlists that when I was like riding my bike or I'm going to the gym, I'm listening to those playlists myself. So in that regard, I'm a thief. I'm taking what you are allowing me to have, those pieces that you feel comfortable and vulnerable enough to share with me, and I'm utilizing them to help build strength in my own vulnerability, in my own ability to be strong in all the places that I am. And I feel like at this point in my life, I lead with vulnerability. At least I'm working toward that. As I do that, then that strength comes, and that comes from these significant relationships that have evolved. So what the audience doesn't know, Dr. Branch, is I had the privilege of meeting my two esteemed colleagues through a former student of mine who invited me to her class. I've been invited to the class, I think, for the past like 8 or 9 years. It's a research course at a different institution where I get to come in and I get to talk with folks. And at the end of the show, we'll call it, I or she remind them, here's Dr. Vereen's information. Please feel free to reach out to him. And I have the privilege of sharing the room with these two esteemed colleagues who they sent me, and I can't remember what it was first, whether it was a phone call, or whether it was an email, or whether it was a text. And the only thing I said was, if you text me or call me, just let me know your name and remind me where I was at. And we have just been on it since then.
I love it. I love it. I'm here for it. And I want to dive into Dr. Beatty as a Black woman. Would love to hear your perspective on this. But before we go here, as y'all know, this is the Three Parallels podcast where we rediscover who we were, who we are becoming. And Dr. Vereen, I have to bring you in on shifting the terminology because, yes, in the past, you were a thief, taking up space. Ooh, come on, church. Taking up space. I want to challenge you to move away from the thief mentality to a sponge, because that's what I heard you were. I'm absorbing all of this greatness because when I think of a sponge, I think of certain things, like all of us do. And when I think of a thief, I think of certain things. And I can't see you as a thief, Linwood. Real talk. I can't. I just can't.
Okay.
It's just not in me. So I would
I'll
challenge you. This is my challenge. This is what makes the show the show. I would challenge you to move away from the thief because that's may have been who you were, but who you are to me is a sponge. You're taking what you're learning, integrating it to yourself, enhancing it, and giving it to other people.
Absolutely. Dr. Branch.
I will accept that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Let's go.
I'll quickly clarify that. I'm going to turn the time over to because I know Vince, you about to jump in.
Now it's still on Dr. Beatty. Now y'all not finna take it.
Then I'm going to be quiet right now. Dr. Beatty, you go on.
No, Dr. Sears, you have something. I want to make sure everybody get what they need.
No, just to capitalize on the points, right? The original question you asked is, for me, I enter spaces with intentionality and authenticity, and I don't ask to be accepted.
Ooh.
And Dr. Beatty knows this for real. Like when I come
real.
and I speak, I talk with intention and I take up space with intention. And it's not about being performative for me. It's about already having enough and understanding stillness, but also educating in the same token. And I'm not here to be an echo, but I am here to resonate. And I'm not here to be palatable. I'm here to be whole. And so I'm ready to stop shrinking, stop performing, and I'm ready to just be. And so as Black men, when I enter spaces, that's what I do. Period.
And I'm going to interject on that with Dr. Sears because he and I we're in a class together. And this is how I believe we became close because Dr. Sears made a statement one time. We had a professor, and you piggyback Dr. Sears too. We had a professor, and we were all having this conversation about gatekeeping,
Mm.
right? So she was talking about gatekeeping, about, helping people to, what do you do with gatekeeping and keeping people out and or keeping, including people or what you do for, just kind of that gatekeeping mentality about, I guess, people that you don't want in, you push them to the side, and the ones that you do want in, just making sure that, they are being good gatekeepers, right? Dr. Sears made a comment and the class, and I just really, it just really just brought some things to myself personally through what he said. And what he said was, gatekeeping is not a good term for me. And I thought, wow, what does that mean? And just like Dr. Sears said, he comes in and he's not apologetic. He's going to talk and speak his mind. And when he got finished defining what gatekeeping meant to him, we all had to sit back. I know at least I did. And I had to think about what he was saying. He says, gatekeeping for me as a Black man means that you're keeping me out of places that I need to be, that I want to be, but I'm being kept out specifically because of who I am and what I look like. And as a Black female coming in, I really still did not understand what he was talking about because I'm not a Black male. So I wasn't understanding so much about what he was saying. But then the more I researched it, the more I looked into it, I began to ask a few Black men that I thought were very intellectual about that same thing. And the very same thing that Dr. Sears stated, these other young men stated as well. And I thought, well, then there's a problem because if this is what you're feeling, this is what we've got to look at. This is the reason why this was I guess this ignited my dissertation. So when I think about Dr. Sears and he's saying who I am, I'm intentional, and Dr. Beatty knows you're exactly right because he doesn't come in to be someone that he is not. He has always been Vincent, or excuse me, Dr. Sears. He's always been Dr. Sears. And so that has taught me, right? As a Black female, right? As a Black female, now I'm coming in like, wow, this is good stuff, right? So now I'm looking at it from a different perspective, a different lens, right? Because even when I'm listening to you all three, because all three of you all are Black men, you're talking about what music does to you, what music speaks to you. Well, from a Black female perspective, yes, I love music, but I look at something a little bit different than you all. The music is not what binds me, right? But as I'm listening to you all, the music speaks. The music is your story. The music is your life and your identity, and it tells a story about you. Where for me, it's a little different. I enjoy music, but the music that we enjoyed growing up was specifically through my father, my uncles, my brothers, because that's what got them through, right? So I love music, but it's not my first thing I'm going to go to. Where I'm hearing all three of you all, where music is, this is where we go with music. So it's opening up, I guess, avenues of who you are. It tells your story because music, like Dr. Sears was saying, what do you feel when you bring this music up, or what do you feel when these words are resonating in your mind? I hope that makes sense to you all. I don't know, but that's clear for me.
Absolutely, absolutely.
As I'm listening to you, one of the first things that came to mind as I was accepting Dr. Branch's challenge is when you talked about your experience with Dr. Sears in class, I'm left with, and because I've said this in class, I have said this in, I can't remember the last time I haven't said this. I'm a student with you. There are things that I'm going to learn from you and that I'm going to learn with you. And I wish I had pictures of the faces of those individuals where they're like, what? I paid for you to learn from me? That's called graduate school. That's called graduate school. We learn with, we learn from, we engage, and that's how we move. And the other thing is, we've used that one example, and yeah, we've harped on the example of music, but you also point out, Dr. Beatty, that there's so many other avenues, and music is just an example. And the same way you challenge that young Black man to find his tribe, we each need to be challenged to find the ways that bring us closer to home. So Dr. Branch can say, he can attest to one of the ways. So I talked about being in the kitchen. When I'm stressed, when I'm instead of going, and I this is where I get myself in trouble. Sometimes instead of going to do work, I'll go in the kitchen and I'll start making like Sunday sauce. And Dr. Branch knows what that's like. He knows what
Yes,
that's
Lord.
about. He knows what
Yes,
that's like.
Lord. Yes, Lord. So speaking of the Sunday sauce, I'll share that late. Like this so much. This episode is so much, and it means so much to me because we are all connected, directly or indirectly. And one of the biggest things, what you're talking about, not just the kitchen, but the music, because we're all connected to music. Every one of us share a story related to music. And one thing I want to talk about connects to my experience as a doc student who would integrate music in the classroom. And my professor, who happened to be a person of color, shared with me that it wasn't appropriate. And she didn't understand the reason behind it, the why. And for me, it made sense to me. It made me feel good. I don't care what the research says. What for me, this is great. But she had a problem with it, which made me question my greatness. Come on. It made me question my ability. And for you all, you have developed this confidence that I'm going to be me no matter what, which is hard in these
Yes.
places and spaces because I feel as though that professor at the time was conforming to this belief around who we're supposed to be in this setting. To break it down, to make it real simple, I
Yes.
use this analogy a lot. For any counselor educator, helping professional in any arena, more often than not, it's more white women, white men doing the work than you may see us. And the best way I can describe that, if you go to any conference, it's like a bowl of mashed potatoes with a few specks of black pepper. So to come from that experience and to decide, I'm going to spice some things up by being who I am authentically. How did you get this confidence to not only be yourself, but to not lower yourself or your standards to anyone else, regardless of the environment that you're in? That's the first question. Like, how did you get to this place of it's okay for me to be me and I'm going to take up space and it's not my responsibility to make you feel any kind of way about how I choose to feel? All three of you are talking about that. How did
Yeah.
you get here?
Can I? Oh, I was going to say, can I? How do I get to that point?
Yeah,
Through
yeah.
my through my life experiences. Because one of the things that I will tell you that has given me the confidence that I have is my relationship with God.
Come
My
on.
relationship with God is to me the blood of who I am. So if God has given me the green light to go into a room, He's also given me the green light and the tools that He's going to continue to make me successful. So it doesn't matter to me what someone else thinks about me, whether they think I am, what they think I am or who they think I am. I know who I am based on my relationship with Him and based on what I have learned throughout my life experiences and where I am today, where I am today, because thinking back to I think we talked about this, Dr. Branch, thinking about the person I was before I became Dr. Sharon Beatty, I'm totally different. And
Mm.
through those experiences that I have, through my life experiences, through my trauma, and through a lot of the, things that I've dealt with throughout my life, I am where I am right now because of those experiences and because of the walk that I've had with Christ. So that's why I can walk in a room and say, this is what I believe. This is who I am, because it doesn't matter what you think. Only person that matters to me is what God thinks. So that's where my
Whew.
confidence comes from.
Come on, Dr. Beatty. Let's go now.
Love that.
Let's go.
Love that,
Dr.
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 Sears,
Sears.
Jason.
jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I think ego has a way of protecting us, but it also has a way of isolating us. And
Mhm.
so for me, healing can only occur when I'm able to be touched. And
Mhm.
so if
Mhm.
I am vulnerable with my truth,
Mhm.
my hope is that it allows for vulnerability to occur within you as well. And
Mhm.
so, like I was saying, being the tuning fork in the room,
Mhm.
setting the tone so that other people are able to open up in a space and share their beliefs, their thoughts, but with a posture of humility. And I think we
Mhm.
talked about this last time, right? Being humble in the approach, but also being steadfast in knowing who I am, right? Being in alignment with my purpose. And
Mhm.
so if my purpose is to be here and be educated, but also to educate, then that's why I'm here.
Mhm.
Dr. Vereen.
That's a- mm.
Whew. All right. Let's see if I can make this a complete sentence or a set of sentences. What's allowed me? Years and years ago, I had an older brother who got married, and he asked me to speak at his wedding. And as I'm reading his Bible verse, I'm looking, it's this beautiful church, candlelit, night wedding. I'm like standing straight. I have this beautiful blue suit on because I have to point out it was beautiful. And as I'm reading this verse, I kid you not, I feel the presence of what Adler would call all the people who have made me who I am. So I can feel all of my relatives who have died and moved on in that room. And so what I've evolved into is they go with me everywhere I go. And so I know that when I walk into a room, I'm bringing Grandma Beatrice. I'm bringing Grandma Helen. I'm bringing my grandfathers. I'm bringing my mother. I'm bringing my father and all of my other beautiful relatives who have gone on before me. Because I truly stand on their shoulders and I could not do this without them. And so that's the thing. The other thing is the recognition that I'm still a student. And so there are things that I need to learn, but what gives me the strength, and it ties also into what Vincent, you were talking about, Dr. Sears, is there's a love and a vulnerability in that. And that's what allows me to walk into a room and command a space. I have a dear friend who's a school counselor. He's been a dear friend of mine for 30 years. I brought him to a conference the last time ACA was in New Orleans. And he came into a presentation I did, and he was like, how did you do that without reading notes and without all this thing? It's like, first of all, that's what the PowerPoint's for. Second of all, I've been doing this for a hot minute. And so he was like, how can you like not look at that, still keep focus, and then like when special, like there was some special folks, some like friends of mine who walked in the room, I'm still talking and I'm walking up giving them hugs. Because I'm making this place my home.
Come on.
For the time that you've allowed me to be in this room, I'm taking ownership.
Oh, this is so beautiful.
I'll give it back when I'm done. I'll give it back when I'm done. Because I got to let the next presenter get in here. We'll take our show out into the hall because we can continue to talk in community and be in community and be in fellowship.
I love it.
But when I step into that room, I own that whole space. And I'm not a stand at the podium kind of person. I'm moving. I have 6 brothers and sisters. Ain't no such thing. Like you got to move. You have to be in community in my life, in my world. And I'm privileged. You were talking about Black privilege. I feel like I'm the epitome of Black privilege because I've met some beautiful folks. I once had a person tell me when I was thinking about writing my dissertation, simply focused on Black male athletes. Do you really want to be known as the person who only speaks about Black people? And then you look at what I've been doing since then, and the answer is yes. And it's not that I just speak to Black people. I speak about us, for us, to us. And my hope is that y'all are listening who don't look like me. Y'all are taking note who don't look like me. Y'all are going to do something. Y'all who don't look like me are going to do something about it. So it's more than just little sprinkling of some pepper.
You bringing in gravy, baby. Because when you bring gravy on them mashed potatoes, it ain't the same. Let's go. And I'm talking about that good gravy. Y'all know that good gravy. Okay. Yes, so I got 2 more questions before we get out of here because we got to go. And we need a whole nother episode. Okay. We just need to come back and keep pushing into this. But before we leave, this question goes for all of you. And I would love to hear your response because it's 2 questions I'm putting together. And I would love to hear your response. The first, based off of what you just shared, Dr. Vereen, creating Homeplace. How can someone begin to create their own home place? That's the first question. The second question is, what advice, suggestions, recommendations that you have to help people pivot? Meaning those are graduate students, doc students, first year faculty, like people of color that's in this profession that's navigating it based off of who they are now, which is who we may have been. What advice, recommendations, or suggestions would you offer to them to help them pivot in their current life? So these 2 questions as we get ready to close out the show. Who would like it first? Dr. Vereen. Okay.
I guess so. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be afraid. And stand up and take your rightful place. If I had to say one thing that, and this is a poor choice of words, that I feel like I'm proud of about myself, is that every time I meet people like y'all, I am more than willing to take 2 steps to the right to allow you your place and space in this profession, or the left, whichever way I'm moving. So I think that's a huge part of it. It's how is it learning to encourage people that when you find that right, keep working, and when you find that right person, those right people, A, you're working on building your tribe. B, these are people who are going to make space for you for a little while. For a little while, they're gonna let you stand on their shoulders, and then after a little while, they're going to let you stand next to them. And then, if we're really doing what we're supposed to be doing, I'm gonna see your backside, because I'm gonna watch you just launch and soar. Because you're going to be doing things that I can't do, that I'm incapable of doing, and not that I'm not capable, but we have different interests, and I will be your biggest cheerleader.
Hmm.
Whoever want it, get it.
Hmm. Wow. I'm gonna go. I don't know if I can say it as eloquently as you, Dr. Vereen, but when I look at it from a standpoint of what can I give, I feel like what really kind of resonates to me right now is just you can learn from anyone, whether they're younger than you, your age, or older than you. And always being humble. Being humble is what I want to teach people, is to be humble and to be teachable. Because like you're saying, you're going to learn and then you're going to do, and then you're going to see the backside, right? So for me, I look at it as I'm going to show you, I'm going to mentor you, and then we're going to do this thing together. And I'm going to make sure that you are on the beaten path that you need to be. And then I'm going to allow you to be you and allow you to do what you need and do best. Whatever identity that you cultivate, whoever you are, now I'm going to allow you to be that person. You've learned from me, you've seen me, and now you move forward. So I'm going to go with that aspect of it, because we're now in a place where we're now teaching, but we also can learn from our colleagues, our interns, students, and from each other. So I look at all of you all as my mentors, but that's pretty much how I'm going to answer that question.
Love it. I love it. Dr. Sears.
Absolutely. So for me, when I think about this, I think for Black people, Black men specifically, in a world that wants us silent, sometimes our loudest act of resistance is to let ourselves sing. And so if we can lift every voice and sing, I think that resonates with me. It takes us to Homeplace. It lets us know that it's not just about the song, but it's about ancestry. It's about resistance. It's about reclaiming who you are in your voice, not in just speech, but in silence as well, and in liberation. And so for me, I think a lot of this comes down to understanding that we are God's children and that we have purpose and a place just like everybody else. And we are called to be more, to do more, and to love and live out loud.
Mm. Okay.
Phenomenal. So on this show, as you all know, we don't do homework.
Can I add one last thing? I have one last thing.
Oh, jump in.
Hold on. I have one last thing. When you talk about being called, a reminder that it's calling people in, not calling us out. So Dr. Ebony White was the first person I heard talk about, we ain't calling people out. We need to be calling people in. So I appreciate hearing that from you, Dr. Sears.
There it is. I love it. So as you all know, on this show, we don't give homework, we give life work. Homework, you take it home, you do it, don't remember it. Life work, you take it home, you do it, you can pivot. So if you all were to offer something tangible for the listeners, especially that's in those positions in higher ed or community agency, wherever they are, and you want to encourage them to create their own home place, what recommendation or what idea or suggestion that somebody could use to create their own? What does that look like? I would love to hear from all of you to give 3 different perspectives about building your own home place.
Build it around things that you love. Build it around things that are important to you and things that are important for you. And with that, I think back to what you said, Dr. Beatty, where music isn't everything for every person. And that's important. That was just in this instance an example, and it's only one of a myriad of examples. And I was, okay, I'll give you one more. I was watching a comedy special, Roy Wood Jr. He does his latest comedy special. And he talks a lot about relationship and how we're missing that. And what he talked about, and one part of it is find people who do things that you like, and then you do that with them. So when I get together with Dr. Branch, we like to do certain things together. I do that with him.
All day, baby.
When I get together with Dr. Insert Name, we do things. Or when I'm with my family, we do, and that's what so find those people who do those things that you like, and then do that with them. Whether it's professional scholarship or just going on long walks, going on vacations, going out to eat, find those people and then do that with them.
Beautiful.
If you do that consistently over time, you always feel like you're going home.
Beautiful. Dr. Sears, Dr. Beatty, whoever wants it.
Ladies first.
I'm gonna let you go first. I've been going first the whole time. You go ahead, Dr. Not this time.
All right. So for me, I think viewing vulnerability as a sacred space and not as weakness, but as wisdom. Because if I can be vulnerable with myself, I've done the work to know what I need and what I allow in my space. And understanding that there's a level of self-expression, and not just a survival tool, but a healing tool to cultivate connection in a way that is authentic, but not just surface. It's deep. It's got levels to it, and there's also width to it and breadth to it. And so when we connect on levels that, like Dr. Vereen said, are important to you, but also have them have depth and feeling and emotion. And so for my Black men and my Black women out there, reclaim your wholeness without code switching your pain. Allow your pain to create art, however that looks in your life. And heal without limitation, for sure.
Beautiful.
I ain't been to church in years, but we about to go to church.
Let me tell you, I come behind you too. It's like very hard. But what was resonating, I think for me, is just being your authentic self and just creating a space where you can just be you. I mean, like I said, for me, how to, for Black men, Black women, building that home place, building that home space can be whatever you want it to be internally, relationally, professionally, spiritually. It's whatever builds, whatever you connect to, whatever makes you feel comfortable and safe and secure. So I'm looking at it from a standpoint of just being who you are and being around people that you want to be around, not just people that, people that encourage you, people that uplift you. That's how you build that home place for yourself. So with that being said, just be your authentic self and find people that are like you, that want to celebrate you and you celebrate them.
I love it. I'm here for it. All of this. Thank you all so much for who you are, your vulnerability, your authenticity, you being the gravy in this world of mashed potatoes. I really appreciate all of you. And before we leave, any final thoughts about anything that you want to share before we get out of here today?
I appreciate every single one of you all. You have touched my life. You've cultivated me. You continue to push me. You continue to mold me. You continue to pour into me. And so I just want to thank you all.
Received, received, and you are
Yes,
welcome.
indeed.
Absolutely.
Please
I
and thank
think my last words is all of you all have been mentors for me. Just sitting here in the presence of Black excellence with three Black men that are very knowledgeable, very educated, and different perspectives and different viewpoints has been very important for me. So you all have poured into me even tonight. I'm sitting here as I'm listening. I'm like, wow, I feel like I should be sitting here as one of the viewers. But it has just been an awesome experience, as it always is. So I thank you for that.
you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the love.
What will I leave you with? One, I'm surprised I haven't shed a whole lot of tears because usually, like y'all know, like Dr. Branson specific, like, and it speaks to what you talk about, Dr. Sears, of being yourself in that vulnerability and allowing yourself to be moved by other people, by their experiences, by what they bring to the world, what they bring to the room. And I have simply been in awe, not only of this time, but of the time I've gotten to spend with people who are like you, people who are trying to become you or take their place next to you, next to myself. And that's what keeps me moving. And so if I'm going to leave the listeners with anything, it's if you can first embrace yourself, who you are, that can serve to strengthen your ability to find other people who feel and think in some similar ways, and people who don't think the same way, yet you still find a connection. And then you just move from there. But if through all that you continue to be yourself, you'll find when you lay your head down at night, you're going to sleep okay. I think that's a thing. Like, connect with people and involve yourself in relationships and do those things that when you lay your head down at night, you feel okay. You feel good. You're like, I'm going to get these hours of sleep.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. Thank you all. You have been a blessing to me. Y'all all have been a blessing to the listeners. To the listeners, I hope you're paying attention because y'all got the breadcrumbs, y'all got the ripples, y'all got everything else in between. And for those students and new faculty and people of color that's navigating these spaces, I want you to look at these presenters, these people as people who are willing to share their truth with you all because they're okay with themselves. And that means you have permission to be okay with yourself. And for me, my closing thought is a big shout out to the men that allowed me in. Dr. Vereen invited me to this group in 2018, 2019 that was exclusive. It wasn't private, but it was exclusive, which means it's invitation only. And I was fortunate enough to get an invitation to be a part of the original Homeplace for me, which was the writing group that was founded by Dr. Mike Hannon. And it included Dr. Matt Bonner, Dr. Tice Nadris, Dr. Alfonso Ferguson, Dr. David Ford, Dr. Linwood Vereen, and then Dr. Jason Branch. That experience changed my life, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. Because I wouldn't be here without that group. And Linwood saw something in me way before I saw it for myself, and I got to share it here, where he knew I would be where I am now, way before I saw it for myself. And he decided to pull me in because he knew I needed to be around other Black men that are willing to be themselves in a space that we created to be the best version of ourselves possible, which ended up being this podcast. Y'all heard it here first. Homeplace represents so many different things. And to me, it's whatever you make it to be.
Oh, I
With
remember
that
that
said,
week.
oh my God, we need another episode. Okay, we need another
I know.
episode.
Yeah, we do.
We need
Wrap
another
us up, baby.
episode.
Wrap
So
us up.
big shout out to the men who helped, who brought me in, even as a first year faculty member. I mean, I was still in the doc student phase and transitioning, And they invited me in, and it was an amazing experience because I was able to see me for the first time because the men around me saw something in me that I didn't see myself. So thank y'all to those brothers. Thank you all. This has been another episode of 3LL's podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch, where we rediscover who we were, we embrace who we are, and we make room for who we're trying to become. If that is you, you are in the right home place, meaning build, create your own, and invite us in. That is it. That is all. Good night.